you guys sound like crap right now. So I gotta
sound fantastic.
I gotta let the lines warm up for you.
Right. I think we should start now before it gets any worse.
All right, fine. We'll start.
Let me just get this, what you call it? A splooge? Let me get this splooge out of my eye.
Wait, are these show notes updated?
Yeah.
I don't even know what
they're updated. Of course they're updated.
Right. This looks like the same last word.
Well, for those that don't know, the show notes that we have never actually change. We just make it up.
They don't. They never change. Well, look, I mean, if you go down to the war room, you'll see that we've got Spirit Kings up. And
you'll see that Shanix is in the war room. So
Shanix is in the war room.
Actually changed.
Shanix.
Was it in here first, or was it Aki?
By the way, did you hear my Shanix that I inserted into the show last week?
Yes. I thought it was awesome.
Actually, no. I listened to the tail end of the show.
Yes,
I like the segment.
I smell them too.
Yeah, I smell them too.
Fetch your supper.
How could you kill such a noble animal?
How could you kill such a noble animal? I can't do it.
Oh
I don't.
It's actually really good,
his
man.
voice is really weird.
It's tough when you're trying to do it live, you know. And I don't have the reference right here. But fetch your supper.
That's perfect.
So, I don't know. All right, let's start.
Hey,
start
Patango.
Patango's here.
Patango's in the chat room.
Right.
You know, I saw
all
him
the way,
in game.
All the
I
way
had to be
from
short with him. Like, I got to get on the show.
All the way from Australia. Patango.
Flesh from bone. Who said that? Was that Rags? Flesh from bone.
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember.
So
it's like flesh from bone.
What?
Under rating news, I have written a question in green. Did you answer that yes or no?
Under rating news.
About 4 down. There's a question in green.
No. No,
Okay,
there's
that's for later.
Yeah, we'll be doing that this week.
It's not right.
Okay, great.
I think Wednesday is when I'm lined up. When I'm
I
lined
know
up
it
to
says
talk to
Bone
him.
Storm.
So there.
Railgar.
So there.
Flesh from bone.
Gosh.
So are you getting in the way of the show here?
All right. We're late enough. We're late enough already. Now we have to deal with solar flare, searching the interwebs. It's gonna come up with
Draxus.
It's gonna come up with like WoW porn or something. I don't know.
Right. That's Commodore 64 keyboard.
Flesh from bone.
No, it was.
That sounds like
Draxus.
a search
It's Draxus.
doomed from the start.
Trifling gnome.
That web search
You
is no
face
good.
Draxus, you're our lord of the Burning Legion.
All right, we gotta go. We gotta move. We got a big show today. We got a big show. All right, we're gonna go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome home, Raiders. This week, you'll get my apology. And we'll talk all about the 5.1 patch. And we'll also take on the Spirit Kings in the War Room and a lot more. This is Convert to Raid number 73.
You're listening to Convert to Raid.
Convert to Raid.
The podcast for raiders in the world of Warcraft.
From the Convert to Raid Command Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, today is December 2nd, 2012, and it is now 11:11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you so much for joining us from all around World of Warcraft land, and hello. My name is Pat Crane, your host of the show. I'm also called Zug around here and around Earthen Ring, U.S., where I raid with my Resto Druid and my Hunter Zug. And the players are also here, so let's get to them. From the Barren Desert in Arizona, he's a fellow raid leader and hunter, warlock, ranged person extraordinaire. Solar Flare, hello.
I shoot things. Hello. Hey.
You go pew pew.
Hi. And I added. I'm trying to figure out a boomkin now.
That's
Isn't
good.
that crazy? I know. We're working on that. That's the next step. Is the good old Kentucky-fied critin.
Yes.
So
Crit chicken is always kind of cool in raids. I like it.
hopefully, I don't think anybody understands a boomkin. We were talking about this before the show, but does anybody really understand a boomkin?
I'm sure somebody who's played
I
Boomkin
don't
for
think
a while.
maybe 1 or 2 people.
Well,
Anyway.
they're very misunderstood. They look like a chicken, but they
Oh, they're terrifying.
I don't know. Yes,
very
they're
scary looking.
terrifying. Terrifying. Speaking of terrifying, let's go to Hollywood, which is terrifying. to our Raging Mage, which is not so terrifying. Let's go to Coltrane. Hello, sir.
Fortune cookies say,
Oh, boy.
one who cooks in the dark must use a shadow pan. Huh? Huh? Come on!
I'm just
It's
letting
in
him.
the dark. They use a shadow pan.
I'm just letting him hang there.
Yeah,
It's
me too.
brilliant. What are you talking
Zug,
about?
don't entertain it, Zug. Just be quiet.
Oh my gosh. Just the chat room explodes. Look at the brilliance.
This week, Taverty is on my side and says, meh.
Andy brings up a great point. There are no shadows in the dark.
Oh, come on. Look, these are fortune cookies,
There we
people.
go. Nope, there we go.
These are fortune cookies.
Yay to Solar and Andy for bringing that
Oh
up.
my gosh. Outrageous.
Yes, I love it.
Oh, well, that was sent in by Slap Foo on
Slap
Uther.
Foo.
So thank you very much, sir. I think that one's brilliant.
Slap
that could
Foo.
be
Oh my
a
god.
KFCC, one of Coltrane's favorite. Wait, KFFC, one of Coltrane's favorite fortune cookies. We'll see, but I love that one. That one's great.
Well, thank you very much for participating, as always. Can't say much for the actual
Thanks for
fortune cookie.
participating. You
Thank
get
you
a-
for
get the purple
participating in the show.
You know, one of these days. I mean, that's a good one. I'm sorry. I think it's you guys at this point. I mean, that's brilliant.
That might be. It may be. I don't know. All right. Well, let's talk about what we did in WoW this week. And there was probably a lot going on that we'll get to in a moment here. But Solar Flate, why don't you start it off?
Sure. I did more healing on the Holy Paladin. Really liking that. The good old H-Pal. Really can't go wrong there. And I did about nothing else, actually.
Well, you said you were learning a boomkin.
Yes. Yeah. But that's only that's pretty low level. So it doesn't really count. And then.
Well, it's tough to level a boomkin, I think, in my
Really?
opinion. Well, I mean, it's because you have to kill things before they get to you, or CC them or something. I mean, there's a lot more CC.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because I was doing I was questing, and then I went feral form because you run faster, and then I was rake, mangle, bite, and everything was dead. And boomkin, it's moonfire, wrath, and star surge, and it just took longer. Feral's really, really strong.
Yeah.
But I want
it is.
to play the boomy.
Well,
so.
when I level as feral because I don't want to bother with rooting them. I just want to go up and pound them to death. And so feral seems to take care of them pretty well.
Pretty insane.
If you don't like rooting things, you just want to kill it straight out. Just play a mage. I mean, it's a guarantee.
And then
You'll just
I've
win.
always hated the mage class with a severe passion.
Wow.
And then I got on my level 24 twink mage.
Mm-hmm.
Did some BGs. There is nothing more gratifying than back-to-back pyroblast procs. Everything makes sense now.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Solar, I love hearing this. Oh, did you hear that? Did somebody write this down? Can we write this down?
Don't worry, I'm recording.
All right, good. That's fantastic. Isn't that great?
Yeah. It was just boom, and then it's oh my god, boom!
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Listen to that enthusiasm. I got to tell you, I think mages, do we welcome Solar? Do we welcome Solar into our brethren? I like the excitement. That's pretty good. Although you've said some things about mages in the past, I don't know. It's going to be a long road, but I'm going to tell you, now we're looking at you. Now we're giving you the time of day. That's awesome, man. That's great to hear that you're playing a mage.
Yeah, it was
Right.
good. It was good fun. So yeah, I just thought I would share that.
Right on. Colt, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I actually haven't been playing my mage, as crazy as that sounds. I mean, I did my usual, the LFR, you get your stuff done.
Right.
But I've actually been messing with my Resto Shaman.
Oh, yeah.
And, because, we had Adobe on a couple episodes ago, and he was talking about shaman healing. Now, I had a shaman in Cataclysm, and I really liked the shaman. I really enjoyed the healing of it. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. I'm a little torn on how shamans play nowadays. I'm a little torn. And that is this. In Cataclysm, you had your totems, right? And essentially at the beginning of the fight, you just drop your totems and then you just forget about them.
Right.
You literally never focus on them ever again. You drop them and then it's just pure healing. That's all it is.
Right.
You're just healing. You're not worrying about anything else. You're not worrying about procs. You're not worrying about building up some kind of buff or anything. It's just pure healing. And that's what I loved about the shaman. I have to worry about anything else. Now, the way it is now, the totems are like little mini cooldowns. They're no longer just drop them and forget them.
Right.
And there's a part of me that likes that because it is more engaging with your totems, which is great. But there's a part of me that doesn't because I'm finding now that I'm watching timers now. You know what I mean? I'm healing, but I'm also keeping an eye on like my healing stream totem because I've got this thing where I can yank it right before it expires.
Mm-hmm.
I lose the last tick of healing stream, but you get like, I think all the mana back or you get a good chunk of mana back, which is great for raids because as you know, Zug, mana is kind of an issue, you know, in these raids.
Really? I hadn't noticed that at all.
Right. Exactly. So it's just, I know it's like watching timers. Like I almost prefer the old way where it's just pure healing. All I have to do is just heal and do my thing. Yeah. But now I'm watching timers. I'm watching my healing stream. And it's really just the healing stream that I'm kind of paying attention to because like you, Zug, I want to be good at what I'm doing. If I'm playing a class, I want to be doing really well.
Sure.
And I know that, you know, one way of doing that is you pull that bad boy, you know, right before you get the mana back, everything's gravy.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it is kind of cool that when the whole group's taking damage, boom, I drop a totem and boom, everyone just kind of heals right back on up, you know? Yeah. And you throw that on top of a little unleash elements and a healing rain, and you got some amazing AoE healing going on, you know? Plus you got chain heal if you need it. So it's in with Earth Shield. I mean, Shaman is always fun healing, but I'm a little torn now with this new method because I'm watching timers. And as a mage, I'm not really used to that. I don't really enjoy that as much.
Well, and this is kind of where add-ons can really come in handy for you if you find that you're watching timers a lot. And what you can do is you can try to set up something in like power auras or weak auras. Both of those, I think weak auras has really come along in this latest expansion and kind of surpassed the usage from power auras. As far as, you know, for most raiders, I think. And so there might be some things where you can do that visually where it'll pop up in your screen right in your face so that you'll go, oh, I need to, you know, just pull my totem up or whatever timers you're working with or whatever kind of visual things you need. It can help.
Right. Yeah. I've been doing that, totem timers. Yeah. And my gosh, I got like 10 million things on my screen all at once. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy.
Right.
So, but it is a lot of fun. And I got to admit, because I healed all throughout Wrath of the Lich King. I was a straight up healer. I played a Resto Druid like yourself. And I healed the Lich King fight when it was progression. And that is such a fun fight, an amazing fight, especially to heal. I mean, it's a real challenge. So there's a part of me that kind of misses that. I do kind of miss, you know, healing a little bit. So I'm kind of getting my fix with my shaman, who is a panda, and I've named Quarter Panda. Because he's a quarter panda with cheese. I mean, come on!
Yeah, the first time I saw you with that name change, I was like, "Yep, there we go."
That's right.
There we go.
Panda.
Fortune cookie come to life because I remember that was a fortune cookie.
That was a quarter panda with cheese. I mean, come on!
So there you go.
You like that one? You don't like Shadow Pan?
No,
what, you nuts?
I don't like any of it. I just thought it was funny that you used a fortune cookie for your name. That's what I thought was funny. I know that this week for me was more about leveling the monk than anything else.
Right.
And last week, I think I reported that it was level 80, and this week, level 88.
Wow.
I flew
big money
through.
Wow. That deserves applause.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll give myself applause. Sure. Why not?
Yes.
But Cataclysm content for especially leveling a monk when you get the XP bonus of the monk class plus, you know, all the other stuff plus guild plus blah, 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 plus double rested and all that kind of stuff. Here's how Cata went for me. I just queued up for dungeons. I was going as DPS only, so it would happen like every, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And I would get done the initial quests of a zone. Like, for Twilight Highlands, I went through, I made the camp, I made the little portal back to Orgrimmar, and I think I got to that first town, and that's where I stopped.
Alert.
That's where I stopped. And because I didn't need to. I mean, I did like maybe, 12, 15 quests, maybe a little bit more on some zones. But then I was just dungeoning and questing, and it went by so fast.
Wow.
So fast. And then I hit Miss Pandaria and pretty much dead stop.
Right.
Yeah.
But not really. I mean, you're 88.
Right.
That's amazing.
Right.
In a week,
Hey, just
you went
think
from
about it,
80 to
Doug.
88?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You got to go through Dread Waste again, man. Just think about it.
I know.
Just look forward to it.
I know.
Best zone ever.
And I'm trying to heal and in dungeons just so I can get practiced at it more, especially as I get closer to 90. And it's not easy. It's not easy anymore. In Wrath, in Wrath content, no problem. I had enough mana. Everything was fine. Now, some guys die on me. Nothing I can do about that, though. They're standing in poop. So it's definitely more difficult, and with some of the changes this week, it might even be more difficult. So I don't know.
Well, yeah.
Let me ask you this:
monks again twice, didn't they? Like mana costs got.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
up.
We'll talk about that in a sec. But what was your question, Colt?
Well, my basic question was, I remember when you were leveling up the druid, you planned on healing with this druid at max level.
Yeah.
Now, with this monk, are you thinking the same thing? You're going to heal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I remember you were kind of like, you were doing the questing as feral, so the questing rewards were feral awards, but then weren't you switching to resto? So are you doing the same thing on your monk? Are you switching to resto?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or to Mistweaver?
All of my questing is with Windwalker, and then I switch over to Mistweaver for dungeons and so on. So when I want quest rewards, right now the item level is 414, I think. I'm just starting to get into Kunlai Summit, and so I think they're around that area. And so it's not really that big of a deal. But when I get into Dread Waste and the rewards become item level 440, that's where I'm going to choose the Mistweaver equipment. But it was really nice, actually, this week, because one of my friends, Zykai, who we all know because he started the iTunes project over on Korgath, he gave me a couple of eye level 476 healer items for my monk.
Ooh.
I know. Tell me about it.
That's awesome.
He just said, "Here, have these." I'm like, Zykai, that's incredibly nice. He's such a great guy. And
that's fantastic.
And so I don't have to worry too much about some of this gear as I get into getting into heroics, I guess. So that transition should be a little bit better, and hopefully I'll be able to get
all
into
the help you can get in pugs.
Right.
You'll know that.
Right.
So.
Well, and that'll help me get into Raid Finder and all that other kind of stuff. So
that's great, man. That's great. Binky actually did that for my shaman, actually, for when I hit max level. He gave me some good PvP stuff as well. So
Binky is another class act, by the way.
Yeah.
If you're on Earthen Ring and you see Binky walking around, just bow down to him because he is awesome.
Binky or Binkers or Bonkers or whatever alt he's on. He's actually in the room right now. He made it to the show.
No, he's / Neil worthy.
Yeah, totally.
Seriously. He's amazing.
He's great. I mean, he is probably one of the most generous people that I've ever seen in a game.
No doubt.
And so, I mean, he's just a very generous guy, and I love that dude. I just love him. I don't really know him all that much, but I love him. You can't help but love him. So
great guy.
He says these are all lies.
Very generous.
These are all lies. All lies. Yes, all of them. All right. Anything else happened this week? I don't know. I think that was about it.
I don't think anything else happened this week at all, really.
No, nothing. Nothing happened this week at all. All right, let's get into some old school before we get into that stuff.
Hit it. Kicking it old school. That's right.
That's right. It's time to talk about our Guild of Low-B Raiders on Korgath. Let's talk about the iTunes project. Solar Flake, what was going on?
It is right. Last weekend was Thanksgiving, right? In the United States of America? Yeah. US today? Okay, so.
Yes.
Yes, so we had like a few people missing, but it was manageable. But this is going to be our very last expedition into Black Temple before we move on exclusively into Sunwell Plateau.
This
we
last
are
week
setting
was?
the lockout.
This last week was, or this week is going?
Like this week is. Like
Okay.
I was getting there, Zug.
I'm sorry.
We are extending the lockout for Mother, the Council, and Illidan. And then we're moving into Sunwell after that. So
Very cool.
That's awesome. Did you say Mother?
yes, Mother Shiraz.
Oh, okay. I thought the boss was just named Mother.
I like myself. I like myself a good Shiraz. Tasty.
Yeah, right?
Tasty
She's
wine.
annoying. I was doing a lot of thinking this week about Fatal Attraction, which is the debuff she puts on 3 people that links them together, and it does 2,000 damage a tick.
I love that
But-
name. That's awesome.
Fatal
What is
Attraction.
going on?
Fatal Attraction.
Zug.
It's a great movie.
Zug.
Does the fight take place at the Roadhouse? This is outrageous. What?
But yeah, so
right.
y'all get sucked together, and it does 2,000 damage every, I don't know, I think it's 1 second. But it amplifies, so it's now 6,000 damage every second because everyone's together. So outright kills some people, which is very frustrating to watch. Especially if everyone runs in the same direction too, because you have to think of it like a triangle. One has to go north, and the other 2 kind of have to head east and west. But it's so insanely fast that everyone seems to die to it. Seldom will we ever have anyone live from it, which is kind of annoying, really, if you think about it. It's one of those fights that we can kill, but we're not doing it properly. And I think doing it properly is going to make us spend way more time than necessary on that fight. I still don't really know how I feel about that one. It's not mastered, but I almost think killing someone in 1.5 seconds is also. I don't know how to say it.
That's pretty severe.
It just sucks. It just sucks. I tell them too. I'm like, look, guys, I know it's insanely fast, and I'm like, you're probably gonna die.
Right.
But there's been instances where the 3 people got tethered together and they all ran in the same direction.
Oof.
So it's just you can't do that. But
Yeah.
Well, you're getting a little taste of, raiding back in the day. I mean, a little taste, but you know what I mean?
We
It's
got that with, Twin Emperors was a great fight for us because that was one fight we had to do exactly
And
they did in Classic.
And I think we're going to talk about this a little bit later. Actually, we'll just talk about it now. Now, with the 5.1 patch that dropped this week, which we'll get to, didn't they also nerf a bunch of these encounters so that people could solo them?
Yeah, but those were just for I did. You know me. I did extensive soloing this week, and all 3 expansions. Classic, BC, Wrath, and I dipped into Kata for 1 second. But what they mean by that, so everyone's clear, is that encounters that were previously impossible to solo.
Mm-hmm.
This would be fights like Razor Gore the Untamed and Blackling Lair. His Smash Egg cooldown has been severely reduced.
Yep. Well,
And he does-
and Twin Emperors and Cthulhu and Alar and
Twin
whatever.
Emps. Oh, no.
Yes?
Yeah. The recast time for Heal Brother has been increased to 3 seconds. Was 2.
Well, that's still.
I mean, they're
Yes,
nerfing
same.
it a little bit. And
And
Cthulhu,
in fights, and I was getting to fights like Nagentis, where he would spike you and you could do nothing about it if you were a non-pet class. So things like that, things that were actually just impossible if you were one person. Twin Emps were not impossible; they're just easier.
right.
They fixed the ones that it's this doesn't make sense if you're one person. So yes,
Right.
Peppers!
Peppers.
Peppers!
I don't know. So tonight is back to Black Temple.
yeah, just for 3 bosses, and then we're going into Sunwell.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Sweet.
good luck to all the iTunes folk. It's
Yay.
it's fun. It's fun stuff. It's fun stuff. But let's move it along to the official 10-man raid team of Convert to Raid. Yeah, that's what everybody on this show is talking about right now. The Asparagus Initiative. Almost ran out of breath on that one. Oof.
That was a close one there.
I don't know what happened.
Woo!
It's like I make it up every week. I don't know. So what happened last week? What did we do? Coltrane, what did we do last week?
Holy cow.
Yeah, I'm coming to you again. Look at this.
Last week, the Asparagus Initiative. Well, okay, so last week we had our little sounder, which was cool.
Yeah.
And that's when we cleared Mogushan Vaults.
Yeah.
Then we headed into the old Heart of Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Heart of Fear, we've downed the first boss. And I'd say we got this first boss on farm.
Yeah.
We're one shot in this guy. Even if people still die, we're still killing them. And like, it was so funny. We actually beat our last record, even though we had like 2 or 3 people dead or something like that. Wasn't it something like that? Like we had like a man down, but we still like beat our old record.
Yeah, we had 2 down at the end, I think.
Right. So very happy to say the first guy completely on farm.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went up against the Blade Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, that is a difficult fight and very, very healing intensive.
Yeah.
But about halfway through the night, we got him down.
Yay! So
we killed Blade Lord.
We did. And then
Which was awesome.
And then we proceeded to wipe on Garelon for the rest of the night.
Right. We did wipe on Garelon for the rest of the night. But I think I'm feeling good about Garelon. I think we just got to work out our strategy.
Yeah.
I got to tell you something real quick.
Yeah.
Fire mages, Garelon is our fight, baby. Like, big tip my hat to Ian Hazacostas.
Right.
Because that fight, you target that body, right? You throw up your dots and all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
You pop that Inferno Blast. Oh, wait. Those things spread to the legs, and you're doing DPS like crazy.
Sure.
I was like doing like 120K
Wow.
DPS like constantly. Like not a burn phase, like constant deeps was like 120, 130. It was unbelievable. Garelon is
You're right about fire mages, by the way, because on my other raid team, we had our mage. He was Frost. He was raiding as Frost, and I said, "Why don't you try fire?" And he tried fire, and man, what an improvement to DPS.
That's great.
I mean, just crazy deeps from him now. So it's really cool. So fire mages are in a great place. I even after the change this week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in fact, they actually buffed Arcane as well. So I'm starting to hear rumors that Arcane's kind of making a comeback. But anyway, This is not about mage talk, even though I think this entire show should be dedicated to mages. But let's talk.
Genius.
There you go.
Yes. But anyway, so we got down Blade Lord. Now, Zug, that's a pretty healing intensive fight, right?
Yeah. I think, it's kind of one of those things that it will, because it's such a long fight, it will drain a lot of people from mana, and especially the last 20% when you get thrown up in those tornadoes and dragged to the other side of the room. That gets a little tough. That's where you have to save, your big cooldowns and stuff like that, because you want to make sure people are healed up before they try to make their way down the hallway. So lots of damage going out. Lots.
And yes, this is about the second fight in Heart of Fear.
Yes, second fight, and it's and Garelon for that matter as well. That's pretty healing intensive.
Solar, what did you think of Blade Lord?
I liked it as a DPS perspective. It was a good fight,
Pure chaos.
Yeah, you don't really do much though. It's just kind of like whack the boss, and then how good are you at dodging tornadoes? There's not really much to it after that as far as DPS goes. But Garelon's pretty interesting. I like that fight.
Yeah. I would say on Blade Lord though, real quick, we did 3 heal it, right?
Yeah.
We 3 healed the fight. And also on those tornadoes, look at the bottom. You'll see a little red circle. That's what you need to be dodging.
Yeah.
And those things come fast and furious.
And it may be, that red circle may be like the absolute minimum of where that effect comes in, because I swear I was outside of that circle and I still got swept up by a tornado.
Right.
So that's no fun.
In fact, a lot of people are saying too, don't try and like strafe around, I'll go diagonal around these tornadoes. Don't do that. You'll most likely get picked up by one of them.
Right.
Like literally physically turn your character and run sideways. Try that.
Right.
And that's pretty much a guarantee that you're not going to get zapped by this tornado. Don't be ridiculous with it, but you know what I mean.
You cannot just run forward. and try to strafe your way through.
Yeah.
It won't happen. I mean, you got
they just come really fast. Like, I'm not making excuses for it, but I was like, haha, sucker, just dodged the middle one. And then I was like, psych. And then another one hit me. So I was like, too busy, like,
it's a dance.
Excited about that. I just dodged one.
It's a dance. Definitely. So
it really is. And healers too, really try and top off your guys before that whole tornado thing starts.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Zug was saying, like, when you're like, woo, getting carried down, you're taking a lot of damage. So you want to make sure that your guys are topped off. Because if they're at like half health, they're not going to make it.
Well,
you're going to have a corpse at the end of that tornado run.
Isn't it like 20K every couple of seconds?
Well, it depends on how high his fury stacks are. But yeah, it's about that.
Somewhere around there. So, it hurts just running down that hallway. There's lots of damage going out, and nobody can heal you except for maybe a druid can cast out something.
And there's this really awesome trick we did in phase 2, but maybe we'll discuss that when we actually talk about this boss in the war room. So.
Sure. We should also talk about the Race to World First a little bit, and this kind of ties back in with the Asparagus Initiative. As we said last week, our tank Daries is playing a Disc Priest for Exodus. And they finished up, they wrapped up their fight. They killed the Shah, and they are now number 10 in the world.
Hey.
So big grats to Daries and the rest of Exodus as well. So
it's amazing.
It is. That's crazy.
Congrats, Exodus. That's incredible, man. Top 10 in the world. That's amazing.
Right. And top 3 U.S. Yeah,
I think only Vodka and Blood Legion beat him. So yeah,
right,
3
right,
US.
Right.
It's awesome.
And unfortunately, he was not in the final kill for Shaw. Daries was not.
He did everything else, though.
He did everything else except for the Shaw kill. So I know that he was kind of bummed about that. But they got him down. And so, he's a part of something really amazing, I think, over there. So that's big grats to Exodus and everybody else who's attempting Shaw right now or have attempted him at all.
Right.
That is amazing stuff. That's a weird fight.
That fight looks crazy. I mean, Blood Legion and Method, they all released, at least I know Method did. I'm not sure about Blood Legion. They released their video of their heroic Shaw kill. Mm-hmm. And that fight looks insane. The new phase, there's a whole new phase, and he kind of transports you literally to nothing.
Right.
To like nothing land, where there's nothing. And you don't know which end is up, which end is down. It's like this blue nothing.
Right.
And it looks so intense. He submerges everything. It's crazy.
Did you guys watch the Method fight?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They were so like on edge
the
last 2 minutes.
Oh.
Nobody would stop talking. It was just like,
and you could tell that the margin was like razor thin what they were going up against. And it was just like, it was so intense. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then everybody was talking at once. And then somebody would come in and go over the top and go, shut up, everybody, quiet. And nobody would shut up.
Yeah, right. There would be like a 1 second reprieve. They'd be like, are we killing this set of ads? Oh my God.
Calm down.
Yeah, that's all it was calm down, guys. Calm down, guys. I find that with most like heroic kills though, because as raiders know, right when you get close to killing a boss, everything gets really intense and you're like, oh, come on. And it's like, calm down, guys. Everyone just relax, right. Calm down.
Right. And then I noticed like the guy that was tanking the ads, he started running and just kept on running away from everybody. And he was just trying to run away to give everybody a chance to get that boss down. And with like 2% left on the boss, just running away.
Yeah. Into nothing. Monk, actually. I think the monk was off tanking the ads. And it was just like you saw him and then like you saw his dot on the map just going, gone. And then he was like off the map immediately. Right. I was like, yeah.
Right. It's like as soon as like just before the boss died, those ads came back and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's so insane. And they were about to kill him. They're like, we got him. And then he like, no, he's submerged. And it was like, oh my God. Everyone's going crazy. And pops back up. And then they got the kill. And it was just, nerd screams, everything. It was amazing.
I love those videos. I mean, it was just so intense. So intense. It was great to see that for sure. Anything else?
Well, just congrats to all the teams. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, we're talking about Method and Blood Legion. The top 10 right now, we've got Dream Paragon as number 1, and that was on 10 man.
Mm-hmm.
Method 2, Blood Legion 3, Vodka 4, Wraith is 5. What is that?
3K3OP. Go ahead.
3K3OPCYC is number 6. Apex, number 7. Pulse, number 8. Envy, number 9. And Exodus as number 10. So congrats to all those teams.
And
incredible.
And everybody who's finished or is attempting Shaw, I don't care who you are. That's awesome to be a part of something so amazing. So,
absolutely.
So, congrats to you guys.
It means exorcist in Russian.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It is exorcist.
Oh, well, thank you very much. How do you know that?
I forgot until I was just reminded by Solar. I remembered
Yes.
that. So there.
Are you secretly a Russian
I speak
spy?
Russian, comrade. Yes.
Yes, comrade.
I will kill you.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
I just had to use the Google Translator.
I will break you. That's it.
Yeah,
That's what
I just Google translated it. Cool. Nothing special.
Oh, that's pretty fancy, though. I don't know. I think you're a Russian spy, personally.
Yeah.
But all right. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, the CIA is going to have some questions for you, Solar.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go into the news.
Calling all raiders from around World of Warcraft land. This is raiding news.
It's time to check out what's happening with raiding news around World of Warcraft. And, okay, so directly after I uploaded the show last week, I mean, like, within an hour, I get an email from none other than our now friend Zaram, community manager over there. And so thank you very much for this email, but I felt very apologetic after I got this letter. Here's what this letter said. It said, "Hello all, we're going to try something a little different. Confirmation. Feel free to share this with your peoples." And it says, patch 5.1, the first Miss of Pandaria content patch is scheduled for release beginning on Tuesday morning, November 27th. So I'm glad that I really insisted that 5.1 was not going to drop last week.
That's right. Boy, I tell you, Zug, I'm really looking forward to 5.1 this week.
Right.
I'm really glad that, as you predicted, this week it's going to drop.
Right.
That's good.
So I apologize to people. I may have thrown you off a little bit, but not too much because it dropped like the next day.
That's true. It was pretty funny. Like, I'm like playing 5.1 and I'm hearing, no, it's not going to be this week. It's going to be next week.
Right. And
awesome.
and the Twitterverse was all abuzz about how I looked like a complete tool because of that.
Oh, come on. It's all
It
right.
happens. It happens.
Well, that's just the thing, though. I mean, we do shows on Sundays, and they always come out with the release on Monday because patch is on Tuesday. So it's just the fine line that we have.
But everything that I read was like, oh, no, it's not going to come out right at 2 months or anything like that. So we don't have to worry about it. And I'm like, okay, good. So then it's not this week. Or we usually get, this type of information the week before, even from different sources.
Right.
So
that's true. It's usually not the day before. They'll be like, next week is 5.1. Usually.
So then you can kind of prep yourself for it a little bit. And
I see. So you're saying we should blame Zaram?
No,
Unbelievable.
no, not
Unbelievable.
Not
You're
at all.
throwing the blame at Zaram.
So you can still blame me. That's fine. But, okay, so I apologize to you guys. I will make it up to you this week because I've got lined up another awesome interview with none other than Blizzard's lead encounter designer, Ian Hazakostas. So we're going to have Ian back on this week. And I think what I'm going to do, because December we have seriously a jam-packed December schedule for you guys because we've got bosses galore. We've got I've got vacation 1 week. And we have next week we have an interview with Icy Veins.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Gonna be great. It's
gonna be cool. With that, I think I'm actually gonna release this as a mini episode. So I'm gonna release this separately on the stream. So just be looking for that. You can pick it up on the new mega feed, the Signals Media All-Star Network mega feed, or you can pick it up through the Convert to Raid feed. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, be looking for that sometime this week. I think probably Wednesday or Thursday. So there we have it.
Awesome.
But let's talk about 5.1 since that did drop. And again, I apologize.
Kill an alliance.
So maybe we should just, you want to run through what you've done in 5.1 so far, or what you've noticed, or let's do that.
Kill an alliance.
Kill an alliance. More
That's all I've been
dailies.
doing.
More dailies. You want to elaborate on that, Solar Flare?
I'm seriously just killing alliance. That's pretty much.
So
I'll hop on my mount. I'll run the coast, and if any poor sucker is flagged, it's pretty much the only thing that happens.
Dive bomb them. That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right.
So, are you doing any of the dailies, the daily quests, or anything?
Yeah. I've done 2 days worth, and I'm already getting a little green around the cheeks. And
okay.
But what's fun though, you guys, is that there are bases on the beach. There's a graveyard, a tower, and a something on the Horde, and a graveyard, a tower, and something on the Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get together with some friends and you go taunt the opposing faction, maybe they'll smack you with the stick, and then you smack them with more sticks, and you get a commendation, and you can buy commendations to upgrade your bases.
Sure.
But if you get enough commendations, you can release a crate of rodents, and then you get a free pet.
Oh, wow.
So I'm working towards that. I want to release the rodents. Fun fact, anyway.
I want to release the rodents.
Release the rodents. That's awesome. That's intense.
Right. Coltrane, what have you been up to in 5.1 so far?
Well, I also did try these Crassorang Wilds dailies, and I went into a cave, which I call like Respawnville, because my goodness.
Yeah.
The second I kill something, it's like, oh, really? I'm back with 10 of my buddies.
I'm back,
and we're going to
sucker.
kill you.
Right. Well,
That's essentially what it was.
but this is the same thing that we saw with the dailies when we first got to 90 as well. I mean,
Right.
all of those dailies, you have how many different dozens of people all doing dailies at the same time.
Right.
And so the respawn times are just incredible. And hunters and other multi-dot classes are going around just tagging everything that they can.
Right.
So they,
It is.
So
It's a
they can get credit
slaughterfest
for the
in there.
kill. It's crazy.
It is. It's a total slaughter fest.
Yeah, I don't like dailies when they're like that. You know, when it's everybody's there and it's so crowded, and you know you're supposed to be doing this stuff. And yes, you can group up with friends and do this stuff too, but it's I don't know, it's just kind of weird. It doesn't feel right when you're all crowded in there and the respawns are so fast, and it's just I don't know.
I like my dailies like I like my greyhounds. Fast.
Wow. Right.
I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't know either.
Very profound. That's
Fast.
very profound, sir.
Fast and furious.
That's
Oh,
furious.
boy.
Sorry.
And, that sounds like a fortune cookie.
It does.
My goodness.
Yeah,
I
but I
know.
was hoping.
Boo. How about that? How's that feel, Zug? Boo. No.
That's fine.
How's that feel?
That's fine.
You like that?
I'm good with it.
So you guys can keep arguing. I'll go on with the show. Goodness gracious, like a bunch of 2-year-olds.
Well, we also
my
have
God.
some other new things in 5.1 other than the
Hang on, I
Pandaren.
wanted to talk. I'm
Oh,
not
go
off
ahead.
the hook
Go
just
ahead. I'm
yet.
sorry.
Jeez,
Man. Go
Man,
ahead.
I don't want to say it anymore. No.
No, just go ahead, Solar. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Sorry,
All right.
Solar.
Sorry,
All right.
Solar.
Okay. So I was hoping anyway, I know I mentioned this on a couple shows back. I was hoping it wasn't just kill collect dailies, which is what we're doing. And I find those to just be, boring and tedious. And I was like, well, what other ways can they mix it up? And I was hoping like we could go in with like maybe 9 other people, do like a mini pug and kill the Alliance commander or something, or like go raid their keep and kill like 10 of their soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would encourage, more PvP or potential PvP action, like what this pretty much patch has been all about. The tensions between the Horde and the Alliance, and it would just be something different, Yeah. And I went into our Horde keep and I clicked on our commander and he had a little quest mark above his head, like if like not above his head, I'm sorry, on his nameplate.
Okay.
When you're killing like a monster for a quest, it has the exclamation mark right next to its name on his nameplate.
Yep.
Yeah, he had this too, so I'm not sure if like that comes at like a later date.
Maybe.
But I just hope they do that because I'm tired of killing 6 Bujus and not collecting 9 Bong Doppers.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I know that was the episode where I said that. I was like, I think that's just boring and dumb. I'm tired of doing that. So
Yeah. And
that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I felt too, was like I'm doing kind of the daily action. It's just now it's with humans instead of Mogu.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's some Mogu in that cave. In fact, I've got a quick tip for those in the Respawnville in the cave.
Mhm.
If you die, you're going to spawn outside the cave. I know a lot of people are going, how the heck do I get back to my corpse? Well, you run around, follow the train tracks. There's an entrance back to the cave. I know a couple people I saw in guild chat, including myself actually, had no idea really where to go because they couldn't get back to their corpse. So look for the little railroad tracks, and that'll lead you back into the cave. This is for Horde, and you'll be able to recover your corpse in good old Respawnville.
Right.
Because it's crazy in there.
To the north, turn left. Take 10
exactly.
exits, dig. Your corpse is there.
Dig.
That's right.
And
well, I'll tell you one thing that I really enjoyed were the item level upgrades, the new thing that they introduced in 5.1.
Yep.
To me, this has got me really excited now to just like run dungeons again because they offer me the most valor. Like now I just want to be covered in valor. Like before, I didn't really care that much about valor because I had pretty much the best items that you can get with valor that you could buy. And at the time they were 489s.
Yep.
And so I had really no reason to run dungeons again, scenarios, all this other kind of ways to get valor. But now with the item upgrades, I was able to upgrade my one-handed sword. It's like the Shaw-touched one.
Mm-hmm.
But I was only able to upgrade it once because I only had 750 valor.
Right.
And I think you need like 950 or something like that to upgrade something.
So
now I'm just like turning and burning and churning out these dungeons, trying to gather valor again. So it's interesting. Because of this, these item level upgrades, I'm doing dungeons again. I'm running scenarios again. I'm doing this content again to get valor.
Yep.
So it's kind of funny that it's all motivated by gear. Like that's what motivates this, is that I can upgrade my gear, which is wanting me to get this valor.
Yep.
Did you guys have the same thing?
Well, I was trying to figure this out last night with Arcane, the Fire Mage. And basically it came down to this. It was like, okay, so how do you do this the most efficiently? You know, how can you really maximize your points so that you don't feel like you're running everything all the time? So here's what we came up with. If you do all 5 LFRs, that will get you to like 460, something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is. But then if you do a daily dungeon, that will get you the rest of the way and over a little bit. Not that you can go over, but basically if you do a dungeon every day and you do LFR, all the LFRs every week, you will be valor capping.
Wow.
So
that's a good tip.
So there.
Well, then what the heck am I doing?
I don't know. Having fun? Are you having fun?
Yes, I am.
There you go. You're having fun. That's all that
I guess
matters.
that's good.
I'm just trying to, if you're going to max out your time, if you're really trying to min-max your time, you can do it that way.
Right. So. I mean, I kind of wish in Stratholme that one room before the final boss, the tank doesn't pull every single ad. But, other than that, I was having a good time.
Right.
With all those students running around, for some reason, every tank thinks they can pull the whole room and everything will go great.
Right.
Oh, I know.
That's crazy.
No.
And then the healer dies because they all aggro on the healer, and then everybody else dies.
Oh, it's a mess.
It is a mess. It is a mess. What else is? Oh, you know what else I did this week? I actually turned in my sigils of power and wisdom to Rathian.
Whoa!
I actually got enough so that I could turn that in. So
Holy
I got
cow.
I got my 10th sigil of wisdom this week, and so I did that on my healer, and now I have to kill the Shaw again. Shaw of Fear.
The Shaw? Which Shaw?
The Shaw of Fear. The last guy in Terrace of Endless Spring. You got to kill him. That's the next little part of the quest, and you have to loot his body. And I'm like, well, I already did LFR this week. That's how I got my sigil. I guess I'm going back next week then.
So it'll count in LFR, won't it?
Yeah, it will.
Oh my gosh! I don't know. Is that legendary? I don't know. Is it?
Yeah. Well, it's a legendary gem essentially.
Right.
It's
that you can put in your shot-touched weapon.
Right. It's the everyday legendary quest. Oh, it's everyday legendary. It's kind of like casual chic.
Right. Same deal.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. So yes, it's the kind that you get at the at like Target. No, I don't know.
Right. That's awesome, man. I'm still sitting at 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm really not getting that
wisdom.
lucky with wisdom. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have 3. So yeah.
I
But I have like
tons of powers,
14.
though.
I have like 14 power. Yeah. So.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
same here.
I still don't have a shot-touched weapon on my healer though. So
Yeah, I did LFR this week, and I didn't get a shot-touch weapon off 2 potential bosses. I could have gotten a 1-hander, and I could have gotten a 2-hander.
I didn't get jack squat. Just gold. That's it.
Yep, same here. Same here. Enjoy the club, Zuggers.
Go ahead, Coltrane. Rub it in.
I got both shot-touched weapons, actually.
Oh, my God.
I got the one-hander and
the one-hand. Get out of here.
I got the one-hander and also the staff as well.
Boo.
And I didn't use a bonus roll.
Damn you!
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry.
Right,
RNG.
but I'm like, well, what am I going to do with this staff? I guess I'll, sell it, vendor it, maybe. I mean, fun.
That's painful. I'm gonna vendor a shot-touched weapon.
Exactly. No, I'll hold on to it, guys, and maybe I'll link it every once in a while, like both of my shot-touched weapons, like in raid.
You jerk!
Hey, look at this. I don't even know what to do with this thing. Look at this.
You jerk! Oh, crazy.
Sorry.
Oh, man. All right, so some other things that happened in 5.1. Let's see what else. The lesser charms of good fortune no longer take up bag space. I did not notice this so much because I only had one bag slot that was devoted to lesser charms.
Yeah.
So I did not notice this, but other people did, and they were very grateful. The ones that still have like 600 lesser charms of good fortune in their bags, they're no longer in your bags.
Right.
So
like
that's
Destiny in our chat room. She's got like tons of these things. I mean, this is a big quality of life change, I think, for a lot of people. Those that really grind out these dailies, every single day. This is a big, big quality of life change because that was a lot of bag space that they were taking up.
For all the completionists out there.
Dagum or Degem in our chat room just said he had 700 of these things. So that's a major change for that guy.
Which is crazy. Oh, the other thing that they changed was how, in the United States anyway, and I think they did this in other places as well, they changed the way that the time works on the servers in the US, and they've kind of made everything the same. So that because of the cross-realm zones, people were getting really confused if you were on the West Coast, on a West Coast server, and then you joined up with somebody on an East Coast server, and then all of a sudden it would be like night. It would go from day to night like that, Right. So they changed all this stuff around, and I thought that this was weird. But now they're doing everything is based off of Pacific Standard Time. Sunrise 5:30 a.m., sunset 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Daily quest resets are at 3 a.m. Pacific, and so it's like all these resets are changing. So
midnight Pacific, I think, unless that got changed again.
The information that I have says 3 a.m. Pacific.
Okay. All right.
So, and that's the same with profession cooldowns and all this kind of stuff. I was used to midnight. And we're on an East Coast server. So now I have to wait until the next morning. Which is, it's still fine. Because it's
just stay up. Where's your dedication? Come on.
Oof.
Stay up till 3.
No.
Every night is like launch night, Zug. Come on. Where's your dedication?
No. Not gonna happen.
Not happening?
Not gonna happen. But it's kind of nice for those people that use cross-realm zones a lot, especially if you have friends on different servers or whatever. Now at least now it won't be so jarring for you to go over to the other server. So that's good, at least.
3 a.m.'s not so good, though.
No.
I've just given up on time completely. Like, I just don't understand time anymore.
Well, you're from Arizona.
Nothing makes sense anymore. Like, I'm listening to all of this, and I'm like, through one ear, out the other, so done with it. I don't understand.
Right. Should we talk about classes a little bit, maybe?
Sure. Let's
Get off
do
the
that.
time thing? because it confuses solar flare. So this week we saw a lot of class changes as well, and there were a couple that I noticed. Hunters got buffed a little bit, right?
X to the yes, they did.
And now, what is it? Aspect of the Hawk gives you 15%.
We got a increased 5% ranged attack power bonus, which is pretty gnarly.
Yep.
And then we also get to cast on the move. We can use things like barrage if you spec into that, or cobra shot and steady shot, and you can even glyph aim shot to use on the move, which actually is a huge game changer for marksman. What was I going to say? Those are all buffs, especially having to not aspect dance anymore is a very large quality of life change.
Yeah.
And especially with marksman, the reason you would use arcane shot was because it was a focus dump or you had to use it on the move, but you always wanted to cast aim shot under the effects of a haste proc. And now with the increased haste proc from marksman, the marksman one where you shoot 2 steady shots and you get the haste buff, you can still cast aim shot while on the move, which is just great.
Yeah.
So, hunters be reppin', dog.
Yeah, it does seem to help out a little bit, and I didn't notice a huge difference on my hunter, but I don't know. Maybe that's because I play survival. I don't know. I don't like Beast Mastery. I don't like it. I don't know.
I don't either. I thought I was going to. And I was like, you know what? I actually really don't enjoy this that much. So, heck it. I want to go back to marksman again.
It's not that interesting. So I'm going to play what I want. And survival really isn't that much down further from
it's really
Beast
not.
Mastery. So
it's not, but you can do some sick, nasty things with BM. So as far as damage parses are concerned.
That's like quote of the week right there. You can do some
bowel
sick,
movements.
nasty things with
Whenever
BM.
I say BM, bowel movements is in like the very back of my mind because that's the only thing Colt thinks of when I say BM.
What?
We do a lot of poop jokes on this show.
Bowel movement spec.
We do a lot of poop jokes on this show. That's the first place my mind goes to, so I don't know. Coltrane, how are mages looking?
Mages got hit with the Nerf bat, boys.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense. Blizzard, buff mages. Don't nerf mages, buff mages. Blizzard, what are you doing? Well, basically, it's like this. Combustion, which is our big, fat DPS cooldown, like, boom! It's this big dot. It now just takes its damage from Ignite. It used to take it, like, from Pyro and Ignite. But the problem was that you could kind of double dip. And Blizzard was like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. So it was just off Ignite. But they also increased Combustion's damage to make up for it. Because everyone was screaming. They're like, no, don't worry. Damage is going to be the same. Everything's going to be fine. And then all of a sudden the patch dropped and Fire Mages were doing even more damage. So Blizzard said, well, we're going to nerf Combustion by the periodic damage ticks by, 50%. So Combustion got the nerf, but it still feels all right. Like I'm still doing good. So I don't know, mages. I mean, you let me know how we're feeling here. But as far as I know, DPS wise, we're still in a good place. We're not shooting down to the bottom or anything like that. We're still rocking and rolling here. So right. But yeah, they nerfed the periodic damage of Combust by 50%. So I think mages are feeling a slight nerf, but I don't think it's a major, oh my gosh, type of nerf. It's just, we're getting pulled back a little bit. So.
Now, you said that Arcane might be coming back.
Yeah, man. Well, they're buffing Arcane. They are, because Arcane is the one spec that is not being used. No one is using Arcane right now. And yes, of course, there are exceptions. There are mages out there using Arcane. But it's really Fire and Frost that people are using in raids nowadays. It's so funny to me, too, because in Cataclysm, Arcane was king. Right. Everyone was Arcane. Right. Towards the end, people started switching back to Fire, but everyone was Arcane. And now in MoP, no one is Arcane. So what they're doing is and this is what they do. They're going to buff certain specs. They're going to buff one, nerf the other. You know what I mean? So that way, mages and various classes, you get to try different specs. You get to try it around a little bit. A couple buddies of mine were doing Arcane since the patch dropped, and they said that they enjoyed the numbers. They said they were getting some good numbers out of it. They increased the damage and decreased the mana cost, which means more DPS. So people are really kind of digging Arcane. It might possibly be making a comeback here. So we'll see what happens.
Very cool. I know that in other classes, there were some other changes. Nothing really stuck out to me too much because I don't play those a lot. But the Mistweaver monk, the healing monk, got nerfed. By what it looks on paper is that everything is doing less healing and you have mana increases on every single spell, pretty much.
Right. Sounds like a nerf.
It's a double nerf. I mean, it's like they said, you know what, Mistweavers, you've had it too good for too long. Suck it, nerds. And then they just went, boop.
Wow. That's insane. Like, was that the subject of the email? Suck it, nerds?
Yeah, I think it was. I saw that on a post somewhere. It was just,
yeah.
It's
hard. You're getting mana increase and then the actual healing done decrease. That's pretty rough.
Right.
That's pretty rough.
Right. Well, and the stupid thing is that I'm leveling up my monk so that I can heal with it, because the state of druid healing right now is not that great. It's okay. it's there, but it's not that great. And I was like, oh, the monk is so great. And I read the patch notes before it actually dropped, and so I knew that it was going to be happening and stuff like that. But then I didn't realize where monk healing was at when I first got into when I first got into Miss Pandaria content, and it's kind of hard. So I'm not happy right now. I'm still going to level up my monk. I'm still going to try it out. I'm still going to do all the heroics and try to gear up and see exactly how it's working out. But on paper, man, it looks tough.
I mean, that's rough. If you're going to sit there and actually say, well, druid healing isn't in a good place, but, well, it's not as bad as monk healing right now. I mean,
right.
That's crazy.
I mean, monks have been on the top this entire expansion for healing. I mean, like way on the top, like over the top. And now they're getting smashed down. We'll see exactly where it lands. I'm still thinking that it might be, middle of the road healing, which is better than druids right now, which is bottom of the barrel. As far as pure numbers. So.
Well, and also, too, you never know. Blizzard, sometimes they'll put like a big nerf and then they'll come back and they'll say, well, okay, I know we decreased it by 25%. How about just 15?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like once all the numbers come out and they see all the data, and then they'll bring them back up.
Exactly.
You never know.
Exactly.
But you're screwed is basically what I'm saying.
But I'm screwed for now. That's for sure.
You're completely screwed.
I guess I got to level up my shaman. Oof.
Yeah.
Shamans aren't looking that great either. Pally. Maybe I need a pally. Do I need a pally? Solar flare? You said you were healing with your pally.
Both Colt and you talked to me about this, about healing on a holy paladin. I really like it.
Well,
it's puppy. Sorry.
Hey.
But it's very straightforward healing.
Yeah.
That's great.
To me, I don't understand totems. I'm a simple man.
Right.
I don't understand totems. I don't understand, HOTS. I don't understand what DPSing and healing at the same time is. It doesn't make any sense to me. I just want to heal.
Right.
And a paladin accomplishes that with flying colors. So.
Yeah.
But isn't there a style of Holy Pally healing where you're actually doing melee damage with Crusader Strike, and somehow that's giving you holy power, and then you can do some other ability? Like, isn't that right?
Well, yeah. If you're in Seal of Insight, doing melee abilities has a chance to restore some mana back, which is really nice. But what you're referring to is using Crusader Strike as well on the global cooldown, and giving yourself a charge of holy power due to that. So you're going to be doing some substantial damage, but the main reason for this is because you're getting a charge of holy power. And as you know, you can use holy power for Word of Glory, Light of Dawn, and those are very strong and definitely part of the Holy Paladin rotation. And how do I word this? It's very weird because you're playing in melee now. You are actually using an ability in melee. I'm not really sure if they use it off the cooldown or not. I think it's a 6-second cooldown if I'm not mistaken. But yes, that does exist. And there are people who do that. It is a different, interesting style, though.
Crazy.
You know what else is really great about the Holy Pally right now? Junior Nubis in chat reminded me. They turned down the Dark Moon trinket effect.
What?
So we will not be blinded anymore in raid. Thank you very much, Blizzard. Thank you.
Yeah!
I love that. I love that. That's a big celebration moment right there.
Woo! Blizzard.
Thank
you.
That was the worst spell effect they could ever put in game ever.
Oh. Man, that was like literally like frag out. Like it was a flashbang going off. That's unbelievable. Oh, thank God. Oh!
Hopefully we had some influence with the development. No, we didn't. But
right. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, that was insane. That is the best news I've heard all day. That's fantastic.
Right. Yes.
I can't wait to we raid tonight in Mega Code.
And we'll
I'm
be able to
excited
see
this in action.
Yeah.
We'll actually going to be blinded anymore.
We'll be able to see the entire
times
fight.
My eyes just hurt. Like they just hurt because that thing was right in your face.
I know.
I was literally asking Mega Code to not heal, like in a close-knit hallways. I'm like, hey man, can you just like take 5, like while we kill these ads?
Go get a drink
or like
or
just
something.
not use that ability. Because it's blinding all of us. It's just insane.
Go get a drink. You're fine.
Oh, that's good news.
We're all right. So that's really great. That's one of the best nerfs in game ever. So that's all I'm saying. Another thing that they did, that Blizzard did on patch 5.1 deals with LFR and with LFD for that matter. Both of them. The game will no longer tell you how many bosses are left in the raid or in the dungeon. It will no longer say 0 of 6 or 2 of 6 or whatever.
Man,
it
that
says.
sucks so bad.
I know.
And here's why.
Yeah.
And I will so tell you why this sucks.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't want to join a group, like already in. I really, truthfully, my life is not so bad that I have to re-queue twice. Whatever. Big deal.
Right.
What I don't like is that I have to join a group that is, say, 2 out of 4 because they suck so bad that people left.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want this.
Yeah.
I didn't join because I don't want to re-queue twice.
Right.
I didn't join because there's a reason why people are leaving.
Yeah. I agree.
That's why.
I agree.
That on you, Blizzard.
I've definitely left or not joined an LFR in progress because I knew that it was a problem boss. Like when Garelon first came out, he was the problem boss and he was the boss that nobody knew how to do. And so in LFR version, nobody knew how to do it. And so then we would just be a wipe fest, right? Because everybody would stand inside the purple circle or they wouldn't do the pheromones right or whatever. And so if I saw 3 of 6 pop up on the LFR window, I'd go, you know what? I don't want to start on Garelon because I knew it was a problem. So it's tough. I know why they're doing it though, because they want to maximize playtime for everybody. So they're saying, you know what? Just go in, complete the thing. You'll get your points. And when you re-queue, what they did say is when you re-queue, you will be first in line for a new instance. It's not totally guaranteed, but you will be, they're going to be looking for a fresh instance for you. So at least there's that. Coltrane, what do you think about this whole thing? Hello? Hello?
No, I think he said his mute button is stuck. He can't unmute.
Uh-oh. What?
That's right.
You guys use a mute button? What is going on with that?
All right. Holy cow. I'm back. Woo!
Welcome back. All right.
You know what's crazy is I finally get this mouse fixed. Basically, I'm in the middle of the show, and then all of a sudden I get this warning on my screen. It's like, your mouse battery is about to, and then it died. Like, literally, like, hey, Apple, maybe like a heads up. Give me at least 30 seconds or something.
Right.
So it died mid-show, and I had hit the mute button, so I couldn't unmute.
Nice.
And then, so I race out to get the batteries in there, and then while I'm getting the battery in, and I'm like, whoo, I bumped my mixer and unplugged the mixer.
Oh, boy.
So now I can't hear anything, and now the cord's like back around under the desk. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Right.
Anyway, all right, so we're back. Yes.
So what do you think? What do you think about the LFR counter being gone from to tell you what boss is up?
I think it's genius. I think it's the way to go because so many people just wouldn't queue. I think it's great. Right. People would see two out of 3 dead or whatever. They're like, oh no, I'm not going to mess with this. I'm going to wait. Yeah. And because of that, queues were longer and longer and longer and longer. So if I get in and I'm on the 3rd boss, I don't care because at least the queue was quick. So many people would just like leave queue, especially healers. Healers are the bottleneck. That's the bottleneck are healers. So a lot of people want a fresh raid, you know what I mean? So when they would see that marker, they'd leave queue, which causes all the people that are in there to wait even longer. So this is a great genius thing. And I'm happy just to get in there with a group now. So
okay, let me say a couple things.
Sure.
And hopefully I don't run too long because we have more stuff to cover.
We have a lot today, so
I know. So I'll try and make this quick. But what's going to change if people still join in and they see that it's like 3 of 6 and they're like, well, this sucks, and they leave because they want a fresh queue. And okay, and then that's my question I posed to you guys, and then touching more on what I was saying earlier is I don't, like I said, my life isn't as bad as that. I don't mind queuing twice or 3 times to finish the LFR. Whatever, I don't mind. That's not a big deal to me. I think that's great if you want to remove it for that reason. Right. What I don't like having it being removed from is because there is a reason why people were leaving in the first place. And usually it's the impatient people. Yes. But the people that don't know what's going on, that are wiping the group, are staying because they just have no stinking clue.
Right. Well, and
now there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, I'm still going here. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't mind necessarily. I mean, there's so many scenarios that could play out as to why people are leaving the group or as to who's in your group or what have you. The problem I have with this is that there had to have been some cacophony going on in this mess. And we all know how LFRs are. Sure. Let's be real here. They can get pretty bad.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to deal with that. I shouldn't be thrown into that situation.
Sure. Well, to answer...
That's my point.
I want to answer your question first. If somebody zones into a raid and they see that they're like on Garelon and they go, you know what, there's bones all over the place, I just want out of this group, and they leave group, they get a 30-minute debuff. And they can't re-queue. They get a deserter buff or debuff.
Right.
And so there's no real reason to leave a group that's already formed, especially if you first join it. And you say, well, I don't like this boss, I'm going to go away now. So you just go away. And you're done for the night, essentially. Or you can go run something else. I don't know.
Can I address that room really quick now?
Well, let me just say one other thing. What I think they should do with this, to make this the best for everybody, is if you could queue up and you could say, if you check a box and it says, I only want to be queued up for a fresh instance. Wait times might be longer, sure, but at least you're not screwing around with all this other stuff. You know what I mean? So if you don't mind being put into a queue with, when you're on the second or third boss of an instance or whatever, that would be really cool. If you don't mind, you just say, oh, whatever. But if you check a box and you say, I only want a fresh instance, wait times might be longer, but you'll be happy when you get in there.
Sure.
Until you realize that the group is totally failed.
2 things in the chat room. Kruji says, don't do LFR solar flare. No, that's not how it works. I should have every right to do LFR, and if I choose to make my own groups, then I'll do that. Yeah. But I think the system is what I have a problem with, not doing LFR as a whole. And Dalwin says, just because solar you are good doesn't mean that you have a right to only play with other good people. You should have an equal chance to play with noobs as the rest of us. That's not what I said at all. I don't have a problem with playing with people who aren't, is talented, I guess, is the average raider.
Or as committed of a player.
That's why we do the convert to raid along. Yeah. I appreciate everybody's play style. I've said this so many times, but when I'm trying to accomplish something, I don't want to be impeded by that. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
That's it.
You're just saying you want to maximize your time. And
exactly.
If you feel like the group is going to take more time than you're willing to give out, you don't want to be a part of that. And I understand that. I understand that mentality too.
Well, it's an interesting thing. I was running LFR and there was this tank and he thought it was a great idea to pull the entire room every time. This was the Imperial Visitor Zorlok, the very first boss in Heart of Fear.
Yeah.
And when you go in there, you got all those ads, right? They're all on the different platforms. Mm-hmm. Well, this tank decided every single pull to pull every single ad. And it would wipe the raid.
Yeah.
And then everyone would scream and he'd get back up and be like, well, most groups can handle this. You're all terrible. So then, but the thing is that we couldn't vote to kick him because there's like a little kind of a cooldown. It says you cannot kick him for another 15 seconds. And then right at that point, when that queue was up, he'd pull all the ads again. And you can't kick someone while they're in combat.
Right.
So it was an endless loop of just wipes until eventually everybody just left the raid group.
Yeah.
So now, with the way it is now, let's say in that situation, so I eventually have to leave this raid group because this tank is just wiping the raid constantly. Now I have a 30-minute debuff.
Yeah.
Because of this guy's actions. Is that fair to me?
No.
No. You know what I mean?
No.
But there's nothing you can do. That's the thing about LFR. There's nothing we can do about this tank. He's just going to run out there and pull every single ad that he wants and wipe the raid constantly over and over and over again.
Yep.
And there's nothing we can do about it except leave the raid group.
Yep.
But now I get a 30-minute debuff. I don't know. It's just another side of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think there are some system mechanics that need to be worked out still. As far as how this whole thing works, because the vote to kick system is okay. It is what it is. It's fine. But yes, if you get a real problem person in there and it is within a certain time limit after combat has ended or whatever, you can't get rid of the person because they're being a nuisance, and then all of a sudden they're a nuisance again, and then you can't get rid of them because you're in combat. Exactly.
Right.
So yes, I think the system needs to be worked on a little bit to help minimize trolls. Like this
now, some
week,
people are saying, go ahead.
This week I was on Will of the Emperor and the last boss of Mogushan Vaults, and a warlock decided to start up the encounter every single time. When we had 20 people in the raid, not all of them in the room, he just started up and he just went, okay, we're starting. And then he would laugh about it. And then by the time that we got back and we could finally kick him, he started it up again. And laugh.
Right.
That's the kind of player that I don't like. I don't appreciate that type of player.
Oh no, it's unbelievable. Now, some people are saying too with the debuff, if you're in the raid for 15 minutes, then you don't get the debuff.
Right.
I mean, that's what some people are saying. So, I mean, that's a good thing, but that means I got to wipe for 15 minutes. So all my armor is red, essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because
of the butt fedoras.
Yes.
As Danilian in the chat room just said, because of the butt fedoras. It's just something to look into, because that does happen in LFR, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah. And wrapping this all up, there are so many factors that can play into why an LFR group might be less than desirable. So I think I have a fairly good point in saying that at least I think everybody can make their own LFR group, than guild or trade, and it can go much smoother than your average pug, because people feel unified. Because people feel unified. Everyone's gathering together to go do this, and they want to go do this. So that's my last thought, my wrapping up thought.
And I think that's a great thought. I mean, raiding should be about doing things with friends. LFR should be no different. So, if you can, group up with friends or guildies or whoever and go do this thing, because that's the trolls, that's for sure. Okay, one last thing before we get into the war room. Brawlers Guild invites went out this week as well. We saw them hit the black market auction house, and they are also available. The invites are also dropping off of rare NPCs. And I actually, there was somebody in chat this week, I think, who said that they got it after killing 7 rares. They got the invite. It's like, oh, awesome. That's great.
Oh, wow.
So
I know another way to get an invite too is I think if you get battle rank 7, I think you can get an invite. In fact, I got one actually from a listener of the show, Gurio, Gurio from Earthen Ring, sent me a Brawlers Guild invite.
Have you tried it yet?
And he, well, I got in there basically. Now, here's one issue that I have with Brawlers Guild. The Cross Realm servers were down. This was last night.
Okay.
So I couldn't get into Brawlers Guild.
Oh boy.
Because the Brawlers Guild used the Cross Realm servers, and I get why. Because if your server, if there's not a lot of people watching, they use the Cross Realm technology, so you get a lot of people in there.
Right.
Because it's great having a ton of people. But if the Cross Realm server goes down, like there were issues with the servers last night, and one of the servers that Earthen Ring is linked with was down. So because of that, the Cross Realm thing was all screwy. So I couldn't zone into Brawlers Guild because of that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a negative with Brawlers Guild right there with the Cross Realm. I get why they're doing it, but if there's any kind of an issue with that server with the Cross Realm thing, then you can't even zone in.
Right.
But I did get to go in there, and I got to tell you guys, it's pretty amazing to watch. You can literally sit back and watch. I saw a mage fight this robot. He looked like Memoron named Deacon, was shooting out lightning on the ground, he was running around.
Cool.
And also, Kiruji, he's in our chat room right now. He was from another server, Kirin Tor. So I was in the Brawlers Guild this morning. He saw me, whispered me, said, "Hey, how's it going?" And he's from another server. So that was kind of cool.
Very cool.
So he said that he was stuck on Battletron. I guess there's some guy named Battletron. Got too much health on that guy, apparently.
I guess.
So it's kind of neat seeing it. So anyway, but shout out to Gurio. Thank you so much for the invite. And I'm going to definitely give that a go this week.
Cool, man. Anything else on this Solarfly? You got anything?
No,
Okay.
not really.
All right. We've said our piece before. Are you in it at all or no?
No, I really don't. I'm in no rush. I'm in absolutely no rush.
Yeah.
So
After our discussion, I kind of got over it, and I'm in no rush either. If I get in, I get in. I'll try it, but I'm not very interested. All right. Let's move it along to the War Room.
The War Room.
It's time for the War Room, where we take a look at the raids in Miss Pandaria and give you the 411 on things you'll need to know for some of the upcoming fights. We may even have some insights that Solar Flare did not put in his tank spot video.
we may never know.
We may never know. And this week, we have... It's another weird one. Sorry. It's the Spirit Kings.
Convert to Raid presents Spirit Kings.
Okay, boys, we're just tearing it up in here. Easy peasy. Whoa, cool room.
Ancient records tell of these legendary rulers, powerful Mogu who carved an empire from the very rock of Pandaria.
We ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Their names still cause the land to tremble.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this corner, the Roundhouse Kid, Gang the Merciless.
I will kill you with strength. You don't look so tough there, pal.
And in this corner, he shoots straighter than Will Chamberlain, John Wayne, and Robin Hood combined. It's Subutai the Swift.
I will kill you with arrows. Don't worry. We got this, guys. We got this.
And in this corner, his magic is darker than a Shaw at a nightclub. Zion of the Endless Shadow!
I will kill you with fear. 3 of them. Okay. Whoa!
And in this corner,
There's another one?
fresh from his stint at Bellevue's House of the Mentally Unstable, he's crazier than a hosen cranked up on Coca-Cola, Mang the Demented!
Crazy Mang's biggest sale ever! We cannot be undersold, and we will not be undersold! At Crazy Mang's, my prices are insane!
Oh, boy.
Oh my God. Wow, that derailed quickly. Mang, that's insane. What the heck?
I don't know.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
I don't know. Oh, that still makes me laugh.
All right. Yeah, that's good. No,
All
that's
right.
good.
All right.
Great work, dude. That's good.
So we've got the Spirit Kings, which is basically kind of a council type of fight. We got 4 bosses, one at a time, kind of randomish order. And the first boss is always the same. It's always going to be Kang, the Merciless, first guy. And then after that, who knows? Who knows what you're going to get? It'll change. It'll change on you pretty quickly too. Yeah. And some of their abilities stick with the group or stick with the encounter throughout the encounter. We'll get to that too. So we'll kind of go through it in the order that we introduced them in this little weird segment that we had at the beginning.
Right.
Solar,
I got to say one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just got to say, and forgive me for derailing here, but
No.
Spirit Kings, this is one of my favorite fights
It's
in
great.
Mogushan Vaults. This fight is just incredible. It's
Yep.
just complete chaos, but controlled chaos.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on, so much to pay attention to. So big shout out to Ian Hazakosis and his team on this fight in particular. I absolutely love this fight.
Yeah, it's a great fight. And there is a 10-minute enrage on this one, or berserk, I guess. So You got to make sure to kill them all within 10 minutes. It's not too tough to do, I don't think, at this point especially. Solaflay, you want to talk about Kang the Merciless here?
I'm still trying to find words. I think.
Too weird for you?
That might have been our weirdest segment. That almost,
possible.
I think that tops Sagara. And I didn't think it could get any farther down in the pit than that.
Hagara was pretty weird.
I love it when you guys say that. It makes me shoot for a new low every single week.
Right.
Every single time.
Your massage was also really weird too.
Your massage was weird.
Get a massage from your massage. That was a weird one too.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, that's right. Barber, what's up? Yeah, that was awesome.
All right,
let's try and get through this. What am I doing here?
Kang. What do we got with Kang? What's
sure,
his big deal?
he's the first guy you're always going to get, and you want to make sure that you pull him. Just on the pull, there's something you want to watch out for. Make sure your raid is all stacked up. Don't have your tank charge in, because he's going to immediately be killed.
It happens in LFR every week. Every
the time.
Single time I see this.
All the time.
The tank charges in.
This guy.
Dead.
Gone.
Right away. In LFR even. This does not work because of massive attacks, right?
What's always good is to he pats around the room. So wait till he's in the back of the room and then have everyone stack in the middle and then pull like that. Because the reason this is because he does massive attacks and nobody can withstand massive attacks. It's 800,000 damage split. Yeah, between all players. So you want to divide this up among the raid because no tank is going to take 800,000 damage without being a nice little egg splat on the floor.
That's right.
And he's going to do 2 abilities that he does, because he does 2 abilities with this. That's right. He does Annihilate, which is going to be a frontal cone AoE shockwave, just like War Master Blackhorn, and it will kill you if you stand in it. So we recommend, since you're all stacking because of massive attacks, you want to split that damage. He does Annihilate. You just run right through him.
Yep.
Just run right through him. Don't back it up. Don't go sideways. Just run right through him.
And then just stack on his posterior.
Right, because you always want to be stacked because of massive attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, flanking orders. He makes a row of the wall activate with Mogu's soldiers, and they strafe all the way across the room. And if you get caught in this, you probably will die unless you don't one time Cold Ice blocked. It was pretty cool. But you don't want to be caught up in this. So look for some movement increasing abilities, maybe a disengage, maybe a blank, something like that. Because you don't want to be caught in the middle of this. However, you want your tank to move as well, or else he's going to get hit. So as your tank is moving the boss, make sure you're still appropriately in that kind of cluster so massive attacks doesn't kill people still.
Right. Right.
And that's all I have to say about Kang.
I don't think he does. I've been trying to pay attention for when he does massive attacks. I don't think he does it necessarily during flanking orders, does he?
I think
he
will.
Does. Yeah, as you move him, he will start chucking attacks out. And I've seen people drop pretty low because people were moving.
Okay.
It's just something you guys want to be aware of.
Sure.
So in your raid team, you want to call out when during massive attacks and during these flanking orders, everybody move left, because you still want to stay grouped as you dodge the flanking orders, so you're still in front of him for that massive attack. Because I've seen groups, they'll split up and everyone goes their separate ways, and then the guy does the massive attack and, one-shots the tank again because nobody's stacked in front of him. So it's something you still got to be aware of.
And even in LFR, guys, even if you're doing this in LFR, stack in front of the boss. Please do it, because, yes, we don't need as many people in LFR to handle massive attacks, but if there's only 5 guys, your healers are going to be hurting later on in the fight because they've been trying to heal everybody up to full during this massive attacks part. And so it's just, if you want to help out your team, if you're going in on LFR, stack in front of the boss, please. And then run through them for Annihilate. Run out of the way for flanking orders. That's fine. Run with the tank. Maybe mark the tank. And then that way you can always move with them.
Now, one thing too, when we're talking about running through him for his Annihilate, so you're fighting the guy, you're all kind of stacked. He's going to say Annihilate, and he's going to do it. You run through him and then just stand. You're now behind him. Don't now I got to go back to the other side. Just run through him and then just stack again.
Right.
And then he'll just turn around and then massive attack, and you guys are all nice and stacked right there.
Right.
So You know what I mean? So that's what we're saying with that.
Right. So that's the first guy, along with the strategy for the first guy. Now let's move on to Subutai. Coltrane, you want to take this one?
Sure. This guy is kind of the arrow guy.
Yeah.
He's pretty awesome. Subutai the Swift makes use of 3 abilities. He does this thing called Pillage, which causes Subutai to charge a random raid member and debuff all players within 8 yards with a pillaged debuff, which lasts about 15 seconds, reduces damage and healing done by 50%, and increases physical damage taken by 50%.
Right.
So that's bad. So basically, you're gonna be in there, and then you'll see a little warning if you have big wigs or DBM that'll say pillage, and he'll run at somebody and start spinning like a tornado of chaos, and you just want to stay the heck away from that guy.
Yeah.
So he's gonna charge a random guy. If he charges you, just get out of the way. If you see Subutai doing a spinning tornado of chaos, don't run at him. Run away from him. It's not like, here we go. Right. You know, you don't want to charge at the guy when he's doing that.
Right.
So that's the first ability. Next up is a thing called volley. This is like your standard volley, like kind of like hunters, I think they kind of used to have. It's a 3-step frontal cone attack. Subutai fires a volley of arrows in a wide cone in front of him, dealing a moderate amount of physical damage. A second later, he fires again, but this time the cone is less wide, but the damage is higher. And then the final volley is a narrow cone dealing massive damage. So it starts wide, it gets narrow, but it does more and more damage. So basically, when you see volley and he starts to fire, if arrows are coming at you, just get out the way. Just run. Run way off to the side. Don't run at him.
Makes sense.
Just get out of the way. And the last one, and this is a big one. It's called Rain of Arrows. This is basically what he's going to do is he's going to target a random raid member, and fires a volley of arrows at that particular location. And basically all players that are in an 8-yard radius of that location get like pinned down by these arrows.
Yeah.
So because of this, your raid, you want to stay spread out on this guy, on Subutai. Because he's going to just basically target a guy, like you won't have a chance to move. He's just going to target an area where a player is and then boom, and just fire. And if you're within 8 yards of somebody else, then you're going to get trapped along with the guy that got shot at and along with everybody else that's like right on top of each other.
Right.
So that's a very, very bad thing. So for this fight, that's why you want to stay spread out.
Right. So for the first guy, all clumped together. For Subutai, who could come second or could come last, it doesn't really matter, or third, you want to make sure to spread out on the arrow guy. If you can't look at his name and you see arrows flying at your face, make sure you're spread out.
Right. You definitely want to be spread out. And that's also a good thing too for pillaged. Yeah. Because if you're still spread out, he does pillage on a random guy, you're already spread out. So you're not going to be hit by that. And by the way, if you get pinned down by an arrow, someone else in your raid needs to DPS down that arrow to break yourself free.
But if you do play a mage, which you do, you can blink out of it. There are ways you can get out of it.
If you also have if you have a paladin in the group, you can bop them, or if you're the paladin, you can bop yourself. Warlocks can unbound will. There's a lot of funky movement stuff that will actually break that thing, and then your people don't have to DPS. I don't think Hunter's Master's Call works, but that's not confirmed. So
I might have to try that out.
There are all sorts of stuff.
Right?
There are all sorts of stuff. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll give it a whirl the next time I'm in there. Why not? I'll make sure I get hit by it too.
The other thing to note, just before we get into the next boss here, is that we did talk about how one thing will stay with the encounter all the way through after the particular boss is downed. Like with Kang, we will always have flanking orders, so we will always have these soldiers marching across the room every 75 seconds. So we will always have those soldiers marching back and forth, so you'll always have those guys out in the fight somewhere. Once you defeat Subutai, you will always have pillage. Pillage is the one thing that will always remain during the fight, so be looking there for pillage. There will also be a red circle, I believe, where the area of effect is on the floor, so you can make sure to get out of it, which is a good thing. Now, for the next boss, we actually have, in order of how we introduce them in the bit, we have Xian of the Endless Shadow, and his abilities are as follows. We have Undying Shadows. Selects a random raid member and then later summons an attackable ad there. The ad, which looks like a skull, fixates on the nearest raid member and then follows them around the room. You do not want to touch this. It hurts big and bad. You want to kite it. And you want ranged to knock it down. And you want to make sure that it blows up on the side of the room. LFR people, pay attention. This does not happen in LFR. What happens in LFR is that the skull ends up biting somebody in the butt, and then they blow it up in the middle of the room, and then we can't walk around for a while. Don't do that. Get it? Don't drag it through the raid. Don't let anybody touch this thing. Get out. Go to the side of the room. Down it. That's it. Shadow Blast is another ability. It's interruptible, and it's a random raid member again. Shadow damage. You know. And then there's Charged Shadows, which is a spell that deals a high amount of shadow damage to a player and then jumps to any targets within 8 yards of that player, damaging them as well. So, again, for Zian or Jean or however you want to pronounce it, the shadow guy, spread out. That's the best way to get that. I don't know if there's are there particular methods for that we haven't talked about with this guy? I think spreading out is basically it.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, just make sure you're within, like, I mean, the Charged Shadows actually really doesn't do, like, that much damage. Like, it's not going to, like, oh my God. It's, like, it's
but again,
manageable.
You want to help your healers.
You want to mitigate it. Yeah. Sure. I was just saying, like, if push comes to shove and, like, you'll have to, like, stack in for, like, a maddening shout, which we're going to get to, Charged Shadows isn't really going to kill you.
No.
But the Shadow Blast will need to be interrupted. Make sure you have someone who's like, okay, I'll always get interrupts for this, or at least have kind of like a cycle between like maybe your tank and a melee DPS or something like that.
Sure.
And then as Doug stated, make sure that whoever gets the Undying Shadows does not drag it through melee, and they just take it to the outside wall and kite it around the outside wall.
And Undying Shadows is going to remain for the rest of the fight. So when he's killed, you'll still have Undying Shadows to deal with if you have more bosses to down. So remember that. Now we get to Meng the Demented. Solaflame, you want to take care of his crazy prices?
Yeah, oh my God.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy.
Who does that remind me of? The Mad Hatter, maybe?
Sure.
That voice.
I was going for any kind of clown voice.
Sounds like the Mad Hatter from the old.
Sure.
Yeah, the old Alice in Wonderlands. Yeah,
old Alice in Wonderland.
Or it could sound like the Charlie in the Box from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer special. Nobody wants a Charlie in a box.
Oh my God,
pretty good.
It gets played every year. I mean, everybody knows this stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
Sure.
Meng the Demented.
Meng. Yeah, Meng is demented.
Yeah.
And he's got some crazy prices. So he's going to be in phases throughout the entire fight.
Yeah.
He's going to be in the crazed phase or the cowardice phase. Now, I'm going to take a second to explain this, so I hope everybody follows me here. He starts out with 0 out of 100 energy in a phase, and he transitions when he gets to full energy. Now, crazed increases his damage by 200%. Of his current insanity. So the higher his energy is, the more damage he's going to do. Now, cowardice causes him to reflect damage back to the caster, equal to 50% of his current insanity. So the higher his insanity is, the harder those spells are going to be reflected back. So just imagine this. The higher it is, the more damage it does.
Mm-hmm.
Now, throw in Crazy Thought. This is one where he has a cast ability where it increases his insanity by 10. So let's think about it like this. The higher his insanity is, wouldn't you say the faster we want to get through that? So at 50 insanity and above, you want to let Crazy Thought grow through because you reduce that time in that phase because it is now increasing. But if he's under 50 insanity, you want to interrupt it because you want to keep him as low as possible. Does that make sense? But once he crosses that 50 threshold where things start to hurt, you want to let him cast this so he goes through as fast as possible. Everyone with me there?
I think so. We're getting there. If not, they can go back, a minute or so.
So pretty much, you guys, if he's under 50, let him cast or interrupt Crazy Thought. But if he's over 50, let him cast Crazy Thought because you want to get him through that as fast as you can.
Sure.
That might need some editing, so I don't really know.
Well, whatever.
No, that makes it simple. Under 50, interrupt it. Over 50, let it go through.
Right, because you want to get him through that as quick as you can. Now, he's going to also do one other thing. It's called Maddening Shout. And it turns everybody against each other.
Yes.
And it allows everybody to attack each other. But the longer that you're in this, angry phase, you take a lot of damage. And then you're also taking damage from people that are attacking you. So what you want to do to quickly negate all of this is have everybody stack in and then AoE. And you can get it through really quickly. The G91 land sharks are great for this. It's just the right amount of damage.
Right.
The engineering things, you also get them from Blinktron. What you don't want to do, mages, is Pyroblast and then Impact. That is not what we're looking for here, because you spread those dots, and those dots are still going to be on the player
right
after the mind control is broken.
Now,
it's not mind control, it's angry. But
sure.
And also, what you don't want to do, warlocks, is use Seed of Corruption.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Because Seed of Corruption will blow up the other players.
I do remember doing it. Yes,
right.
And then I quickly realized that I am completely worthless on that fight. I don't even Rain of Fire. I just let everybody else do it. I'll cast a Land Shark. But
now, didn't they actually change the Land Shark usage on that fight so that it basically the Land Shark is a potion or something along those lines? I think they changed it so that you can only do that once and then it's done.
Well, it's sure useful, and there of course are going to be other people in your raid that can.
Hello, are you there?
Really weird. Of course, there are other people in your raid that can do the AOE, warriors can Blade Storm or Whirlwind or whatever they do, Cleave or stuff like that. So I mean, what you want to do essentially, guys, is try not to spread too many dots and all stack together for AOE and then disperse.
Right.
That's right.
That's right.
And then once they get DPS down a certain amount, then everybody kind of snaps out of it, and then you're back to normal. So stack up AOE mages. You can use Arcane Explosion. The rogues can use that Fan of Knives deal. And once everybody gets DPS down to a certain amount, then boom, they're back in action and everyone's happy.
Yep. And Maddening Shout is the one that's going to last beyond where Meng is in the fight. If you get him second or third, this is going to remain for the rest of the fight, the Maddening Shout. So you're going to want to stack for Maddening Shout so that you can DPS everybody down so that they can snap back to it. And this is where it gets tricky, is when we start talking about all four bosses and these building abilities that keep on popping up throughout the raid. And it kind of becomes this dance of spread out for this, come together for this, and it starts looking, I don't know, it kind of looks like synchronized swimming.
Right. And Zug shaves his legs.
Right. I totally do for that fight. Absolutely.
Right. And shave everything.
Oh boy. But no, he's right about that, because it is nuts when you've got flanking orders, right? So you got these guys charging across the room, and then you got, pillage going off, and then you've got Maddening Shout.
Right.
And you have all these sometimes around the same time. So things can get real chaotic real fast. Especially I've noticed with flanking orders, we've had them go through the group. So everyone's kind of all over the room, because by the time you're on this last guy with all these abilities, it's just complete chaos.
Right.
So you got flanking orders, then everyone, okay, here comes Maddening Shout, everybody stack, and then you're running in, and then it's just.
And then somebody gets Undying Shadows and can't run into the group with Maddening Shout, so they're stuck out in the middle of nowhere with, being flagged with red, and it's okay, all right, well, now we got to take care of this guy, we got to beat him down too, so I don't know. Yeah, it's just, it's total chaos.
There's a lot of prioritizing to do, and I think the most important thing that you should take out of this is that you always want to be stacked, at least in some fairly clustered form for Maddening Shout.
Yeah.
Because that's the real nasty thing that they do. Everything else is pretty much avoidable. You can kite the undying shadows if you have to. I remember for our first kill, we just said, okay, forget killing these. We're just going to kite them.
The first kill, by the way, that we got with this team, I was kiting 2 or 3 of these shadows around with me.
Just running in circles around the room. I mean,
that's all I was doing. I was like, okay, well, I'll throw out heals when I can. Okay. Good luck, guys.
Right. Right. And I remember I was like casting on the side of the room, and then here you come. And I'm like, hey, Zug, how's the day? How's it going? You're just running right behind me, slowly dragging like 2 to 3 skulls with you. But again, with the kiting, we only start kiting these ads like when the boss is about to drop. Like, you always want a DPS, like basically when these skulls spawn, you want all range DPS to switch to these skull ads and DPS down these ads. But make sure that you kill this ad, like we were saying earlier, at the side of the room. Sometimes, if all range switches, you don't want to nuke it down too quick where you kill it in the front of the room, because once it dies, it spawns this kind of void zone of death. It's like, it looks like old Lich King ability that everybody hated.
Yes.
What was that called?
What was it? I can't even remember now.
What ability did you just describe? I'm sorry, what was that?
The black pool of goo.
Thing, that's Defile.
Defile.
Oh, right. So it spawns some Defile once it dies. Right. So make sure that you DPS all range switch to it, but kill it at the side of the room. But, when you're on that final guy and he's down to like, 2%, 3%, 4% health, just ignore killing those ads. And whoever's got him on him, like in this case, it was Zug, just kite him around the room and focus all DPS on the boss. Right. Don't even bother killing the ads. Just burn down the boss.
Exactly. And what was I going to say? Oh, the nice thing about the defile-looking pool of goo of death is that it will reset whenever the boss that's currently up dies. All the pools will reset. So that's kind of a nice thing. So just letting you know.
Yes.
We got some people asking in the chat room when the best time to bloodlust or heroism is, and we usually did it on the very last guy.
It depends. It depends.
I mean, I guess there's like ultra situations you could do it in, but I mean, you just kind of want to get through the last phase as fast as you can, because that's when everything is there. So you don't want to have to deal with everything for that long.
If you want to maximize your time spent DPSing, my guess would to bloodlust at the beginning. Yeah, because that's when you're all stacked up and you can do it.
Nuke through that guy with the bloodlust, sure, but how much of that is really helping you, because you're only dealing with one thing.
I know.
And it's on Kang, so he's really not that hard.
Right.
So
yeah.
So,
I mean, I used to think maybe you bloodlust during Mang the Demented, because that whole maddening shout business. Like, I want to get that guy down as quickly as possible. He seems to be the one that wipes most raids. Is this Mang guy?
He's a real jerk.
He is a jerk, but you could bloodlust at the end. But there's one issue too, is that all the mechanics are active. So you're spending a lot of time running around than necessarily DPSing the boss as well.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Want to get through that as fast as you can. There's still damage going out in that phase. It's not like everyone's like, can't do DPS. So,
yeah,
true.
Yep. Well, the nice thing about Mang is that his prices are really, really low.
Yeah, thank goodness he's a cheapskate.
Right,
so.
Exactly. There is an achievement for this fight, Solar Flare.
There is. It's called It's Getting Hot in Here. So what you need to do for this achievement is, and I don't believe you actually have to kill them, so you can just do it. Yes. What you do is on Subutai, the Swift, the archer, make sure that you guys are all spread out for the rain of arrows. And after he does that, everybody stack in, because he's going to pillage, and everybody needs to get hit by pillage.
Yep.
And then you slash dance with him.
Yes.
And then an achievement pops up on your screen.
It's insane.
It's a weird achievement.
This is a strange one.
It is.
That is a really weird achievement.
It is.
Like, I mean, are they just like, well, all right, then what we'll do is we'll have everybody slash dance.
Right.
That'll get the achieve.
Right.
I mean, that's got to be the craziest looking thing I've ever seen. That's got to be nuts. I'll have to give that a shot. Everybody gets hit, then they slash dance.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Do that. Oof. I don't know. But that is basically the fight. It really does build up into like this chaotic thing towards the end. And if you have run it in LFR, it basically works the same in regular as well. I don't think there's nothing added It's just other than more damage for everybody. More damage for everyone. So other than that, pretty much runs the same. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I would say the big thing for this fight.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to interrupt you there, so I apologize.
Go ahead.
The big thing in this fight is not DPS. That's like DPS players don't focus on your DPS. It's not about getting the most deeps, the most heals, the most everything. It's about awareness and the mechanics of the fight. It's about staying alive. And a lot of this damage is also avoidable damage.
Right.
You know, it's if you got a flanking orders coming at you, don't cast that last spell, get out of the way. You know, if you got an annihilate, run through the boss. Don't, just one more cast for more DPS. No, this is about raid awareness and being aware of what's going on. It's about control, not necessarily a DPS race.
Right. And again, this is what I like about the encounters that I've seen so far is that so many times we're seeing if you can stay alive and complete the fight, most likely you're going to win. I mean, it's not necessarily about more DPS, more heals, more, tanks just being available and awareness or whatever. It is about living through the fight. And this is one of those things. If you can live through this fight, you can most likely win this fight because the enrage is 10 minutes. It's not like it's hard to beat. So.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
No. But we are through the Spirit Kings, so there we go. We've down those guys. Those guys
down
are gone.
Go.
And now we'll move on in 2 weeks' time to Elegon. Oof.
Everybody's favorite. Woo!
Everybody's favorite, Elegon.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. All right. But we do need to move on, so let's do that.
We've got mail.
We do. And if you have a question about anything for us, about rating or anything else, let us know. We'll try to answer it on the show. You can email us at converttoraid@gmail.com, or you can call our raid line at 612-787-RAID, or you can join us during the live show, PM one of the guys. We'll see if we can get to it. You never know. Let's do the first one. And Coltrane, if you could read this first one for us, that'd be great.
Sure. So this is from Nutcase of Argent Dawn EU. And this is in reference to my comment that I made about people being completionists.
Right.
And I felt that this was something that maybe Blizzard possibly didn't count on when they gave us all these dailies.
Maybe.
That people and MMO players tend to be completionists. Not all of them.
Right.
But here's the email. I just got to agree with Coltrane. After dinging 90, I was all over the dailies. But to be honest, I just feel that there was way too much, and the completionist in me wants to complete it and do it all. But I just can't find the motivation for it. That's why I mainly do LFR the few times I can. I just got a 3-month-old son, and the rest of the time I'm playing Black Ops. I mean, what? No. No.
There are
There's no other game
games
besides World of Warcraft. I don't know what he's talking about. This Black Ops, maybe that's that Project Blackstone, maybe. Maybe that's what he meant.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe that's what it I also just want to say that I'm fairly new to the show, but I love the fact that you came on to BlizzCon with Scott Johnson. I'm a big fan of his, and after hearing you there, I started listening to Convert to Raid, and I'm totally sold on you three. Thanks for the awesome show. Nutcase. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And again, BlizzCon was great. We had a fun time with Scott Johnson, and maybe we'll team up again with him soon. Who knows?
Absolutely.
Who knows? But yeah, that was a lot of
fun. But that's interesting, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. People tend to be, if they see a blue arrow, they got to do it. You know, Blizzard always says, guys, you don't have to do these dailies. But I think this player mentality is, no, we have to do it.
Right.
And I think Blizzard, they kind of said, well, we're going to give you a ton of options and you can pick and choose what you want. Right. But I think players are choosing everything.
Well,
and because of that, everyone's doing them and they're getting burned out on all these dailies.
Yeah, we saw it with dailies, but now do you think that it's going to be about Valor? So are we going to see people that feel like they need to complete every week with 1,000 Valor? Solar Flare, are you planning on doing something along those lines or what?
I mean, you know me and repetitive nonsense, but the Valor upgrades are so awesome. Like, I have a tier piece, it's item level 500, like, holy smokes. And my Dark Moon Fair card is 2 out of 2 upgraded. And on my Hunter, I have my bow maxed out. And I mean, I was like, wow. Because it's awesome to be able to upgrade your gear and have it even do more nasty work than what it already does. And I like that. So you might be seeing me doing more dailies, but still don't. I mean, it's kind of a lot. Like, isn't it like 1,000 per piece?
It is $750 for a 4-point upgrade, and it is $1,500 for an 8-point increase in your
Mamacita. That's a lot.
Yep. Yeah, that's a
well,
lot.
I'll tell you. But Zug, your method of if you do the entire LFR and then you do one daily dungeon a day, that'll Valor cap you.
Right.
That seems a lot more digestible than just running dungeons constantly.
Yeah. At least you don't have to do dailies.
I mean, because that's what I pretty much do anyway, right? Like you do your LFR to get your potential not gear, and then I'll run some dungeons with some friends if they want to like gear up, or it's like just an off night. I'll get on one of my characters and we'll do some heroics. So I mean, that's not that bad. So
sure,
I can handle that.
Right on. Well,
that's a great email. And any email that agrees with me is a fantastic email. So please keep sending those in. That's fantastic.
Well, and thank you,
Nutcase.
And thank you, Nutcase, for joining the show. We're glad to have you along for the ride. And we can't do this show without new folk joining us. That's for sure. Those guys from episode 0, which I'm very sorry about. But glad to have you guys still with us. Can't believe you're still with us after episode 0. Oof.
Yes.
But maybe let's give some shout outs to folk. If we should do that. We should wrap this thing up because we're at the end of our time here. Boo.
We had a lot of really good emails and questions, though. It's not like we didn't forget you or you're not there.
Right.
We just didn't get to you.
We'll try to get to you in shows to come. But right now we do have to do 5-star reviews. And Solar Play, why don't you do the 5 stars?
Yes, we have 5 stars from Swick, Sock Monkey, Brutal Noodles, Shozul, the Shogun of Senjin. That's mouthful.
That's cool.
And Fishing Min. And I'm guessing he means Fishing Minnesota, because there's a lot of places in Minnesota.
Yeah, Fishing Minnesota. Gotta love that. We cannot do this show without you guys, like I was saying. Thank you so much for taking the time to rate us on iTunes. Thanks for the feedback. Thank you for all the questions this week, even the ones that we couldn't get to. There were a ton. And feel free to send us more. We're always in the mood for talking to you guys. And you can do that in lots of different ways. Let me get rid of that music, though. And I will put in...
Just gonna bail out.
Gonna bail out of that music. And people say that I say that I hate that music, but I just don't like it for the end part. I like the jazzy music for the end part. That's what
we gotta bail out.
That's
that's tradition.
We have to bail out. Exactly. It's tradition. We have to do it. But I like the jazzy music for the out. I do. I mean, who doesn't like this? That's awesome.
That's nice.
Right.
Makes you smile.
Right, exactly. And if you guys want to talk to us or, with each other, you can do that. It's really great. You can email us at convertraid@gmail.com. You can call us and leave comments and questions on our raid line, which is 612-787-RAID, 612-787-7243. You can follow us on Twitter at ConvertToRaid, or what are the individuals? Coltrane.
Follow Pat Crane at Pat Crane. You can follow Coltrane at _Coltrane. And you can follow Solar Flare at _Solar Flare.
Right. And if you can't spell our names, make sure to join the Bazoo Baguabo Nation by signing up over at ConvertToRaid.com. It is powered by Engine, and you can join in on all the conversations we're having over there, or make one of your own. We do have show downloads, archives, forums, tons of links for Raiders, so much more, and we are still doing the beta for the forums over at signalsmedia.com. So sign up there, because things will be moving over that way. So there. But that's at converttoraid.com. You can also get a link. There's also a little thing on the left-hand side where you can check out the mega feed for the entire All-Star Network. 10 shows. Lovely shows. And more to come. So, yeah, check it out. That's going to do it for the show. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to Convert to Raid. We hope you had a good time and maybe learned something a little bit about the Spirit Kings. But before we go, big things for you guys this week. Coltrane, Solar Flare, what do you got?
Raid tonight. We're doing Garelon, right? We're extending?
Yeah, we're extending.
Woo! Yeah!
And I have to kite the pheromones.
That's right.
No, I think we're making DPS do pheromones, aren't we? I don't remember.
Why do healers get the pheromones? I kind of understand it.
Because DPS get more time to DPS.
That's right, because DPS kills bosses. Heals don't kill bosses.
Because the tanks have nothing else. Because the tanks have nothing else better to do. All right, Convert to Raid was written in
really
part
do.
by all the guys in the show, Pat Crane, Coltrane, and the Solar Flare. The Convert to Raid theme music arranged and produced by me. Segments found at the end of the show, those are from you guys, and I think we actually have a new one this week, so pay attention to the end, guys. It's from the amazing, the talented, the Convert to Raid community like you. The Convert to Raid podcast is produced and distributed by Signals Media, and like I said before, check out the Signals Media All-Star Network at signalsmedia.com. Do it. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you on our next show next week at our regular time. Sunday, 11 a.m. Central, uploaded by Monday at some point. For all the guys that Convert to Raid, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
The eyes of Hellscream are upon you. Show's over.